Let's move on to the NBA over here. The Knicks and the Celtics. The Knicks with the dub. What's the bigger deal here? The Knicks winning or Boston losing 3 straight games? And Zay, if you want to start us off, by all means.
I think for me the bigger deal here is the Knicks winning this Boston game because this is their back-to-back win against a top 4 team. They beat the Cavaliers at home 105-103, and then they go to Boston and win in overtime 120-117. A game which they should have closed out and won because they were up I believe 10 points with 5 minutes left, 112-102 at one point. The fact that Boston came back and tied it, shows they still having closing issues, but the Knicks were able to pull out a grinded out game and win without their starting center, without the guy that needs to get the rebounds, protect the paint, and so on and so forth. The Knicks early on in the game, they looked deflated. They didn't know what to do against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who were just scoring rampantly. Excuse me. They was getting whatever they wanted. They was able to score the bucket. They able to score the basket. I think Boston losing 3 straight is not indicative of what's going on in their team. They have some woes. Jaylen Brown is unable to play back-to-back games or even multiple games in the same week. With that, he has like an injury that's being monitored on a night in, night out basis. Marcus Smart out the lineup with the ankle injury. And I think that they're martyred by their best defenders not being in the lineup consistently, which causes Jason Tatum to play multiple roles: a facilitator, scorer, primary ball handler. There's a lot of different roles he plays because they don't trust Malcolm Brogdon or Derek White to do that on the court at the moment. So there's still a lot of chemistry woes that they need to fix, especially with the new head coach. The new head coach just seems like they're not meshing well with his game plan, what he wants to do. I think right now is just I said it before the season. It don't matter who's the head coach because the talent on Boston is gonna show who they are and play kind of like freestyle basketball. They do what they want. The inmates run the asylum with Joe Mazzulla as the head coach, and I think that's not gonna pay dividends in the playoffs. I think that's actually gonna hinder them. But I think the bigger deal is the Knicks winning. This is, like I said, second game in a back-to-back. Cavs fully healthy. The Celtics, all their star players are healthy except for the defensive player of the year, the point guard Marcus Smart. And I
It's a
think it was a
big
bigger
deal.
deal because the Knicks get a lot of flack. They don't get praise for winning national games. The Knicks just beat the best team in the NBA on a national televised game, and no one's talking about it. But if the Celtics would have won that game, it would have been a whole different discussion. Oh, where do the Knicks go now? Oh, the Celtics are showing how dominant they are. Yada yada. So it's interesting that no one's making a big deal of it, but this is a bigger deal than Knicks winning against Boston last night, going 2 in a row.
Dino?
All right, here we go. So the bigger deal, I would definitely say, is the Knicks winning and beating us yesterday. Because I mean, the thing is, though, we're banged up right now. Like Jay said, Marcus Smart's out. Jalen Brown's he's got an adductor problem, so he's been in and out of the lineup for the last like 2 3 weeks, inconsistent. He hasn't been playing that well. Because he's this thing's nagging him. So it's like we went 1 for 8 last night shooting the three ball. It was like couldn't really hit his shots like that. Imagine he hits 2 of those threes, we win the game. So obviously something's still up with Jalen Brown. Hopefully he gets better soon. But with the Celtics though, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal if we beat the Knicks on national TV because like we beat the Knicks. Like no offense, but we beat the Knicks. It's just like another day in the park for us. It was a big deal when we beat the friggin' Warriors last week. That was a big deal. That was a great game. But us losing 3 in a row, I mean, I'm not too worried about it right now because it's the regular season. And listen, we're a little banged up right now. We in the trade deadline, we gotta go look to get some depth pieces. I would definitely like to see another big man added. I wanted Jakob Hurtle, but it seems like the Spurs asking price is gonna be a little too steep. They want 2 firsts unprotected, I think. I don't know if I want to give that up for Hurtle. But in terms of Boston, we've had this stretch earlier in the year. We had a stretch, I think it was like in November, December. We lost about 3 in a row, and everyone's like, "Oh, are the Celtics legit? Are they starting to decline?" Then we turn around, then we go start winning more games again. We won 9 in a row again. So we've gone through this stretch before. I just don't like how we're losing to teams like we lost 3 games to Orlando this year. Like 3 of our 14 losses have been to Orlando. Like that's not good. So we definitely have to figure that out against like lower tier teams. But hats off to the Knicks for winning yesterday. They beat us. They played a great game. So this is a good thing for the Knicks. They beat, like Zay said, they beat Cleveland earlier in the year. Cleveland's top 5 seed in the East right now, and those are 2 big wins for them. But I guess with the Knicks, I guess the biggest thing is consistency because they won what leading up to Christmas. They won like 8 in a row. Then they lost like the last 3, and they blew like 2 second half leads. So the Knicks, I think they'll definitely make it. I think they'll make like the 6th seed. or if not, they'll make like a 7 seed play-in. So they're actually playing better right now. But the Knicks, I just got to see that consistency on a more level basis because they're what, like 25 and 23, 26 and 23, something like that. So they're right at 500. If they can get a few more wins together against meaningful teams, they'll definitely give the Knicks some momentum going into the playoffs. But Boston losing 3 straight, I'm not too worried about it. If we start losing more, then I'm going to start getting a little worried. But I'm fine with Joe Mazzulla as a head coach. I think he's doing a great job. And I like how he's very analytical. My man used to have Quizlet cards on opposing teams' players to see how they played and their strengths, their weaknesses, their tendencies. So the man's very analytical. I like him as a head coach, but I just gotta see Boston stop these. We gotta get healthy first, but then we gotta stop losing these. Like we can't be losing 3 in a season to teams like Orlando. We gotta hit the ground running once the trade deadline ends.
All right, so I'm actually going to go the other way here. I think the biggest deal is the Boston Celtics losing 3 straight games. Now, to Zay's point, this was a great signature win for the Knicks. Literally, it's probably their best win. Not probably. It is their best win of the year, of the season, because Boston is a number 1 team, not only in the East, but in the whole entire NBA. They have a half-game lead over the Nuggets. Okay, so the Knicks just beat them. So I could see from that argument. But the reason why this is a bigger deal, Boston losing 3 straight, is how they losing. You see, I'm starting to see those bad habits stick around. Now, I've been high on this team, on Boston. Matter of fact, I was the only person in this 99 pod family, not named Dino, who picked them to represent the Eastern Conference in the finals. This year, I have them going to the finals again. But I'm not oblivious to the bad habits that I see that has not left this team. For example, let's go to the third quarter where they kind of blew the game in a way before the Knicks kind of like blew it, before the Knicks took it back. Brown, he forced back-to-back shots, a fade away from the low post, a step back 3. Sometimes the Celtics have a habit of not taking high percentage shots. They take these shots where I'm like, what are you doing? Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Tatum sometimes takes those. Not to mention Tatum, his inefficiency, 2 of 7 from the arc, from the 3-point line. Brown missing the 2 clutch free throws at the end to win the game, right? So I'm starting to see these bad habits pop up. And let's not take a shot at my Knicks here, because that's my team. I love them. But you basically got outdueled by Jaylen Brunson and Julius Randle. Okay, the Celtics duo is literally the best duo in the league. Look how much points they averaging together. You just got outdueled by Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. And I understand we get disrespected. We should be all-stars too in our own right. But at the same time, you're supposed to be better than them. You got outdueled by these guys. And I'm starting to see the mistakes. I'm starting to see the hesitation. I'm starting to see the lack of high percentage shots. And I can't ignore it. It's showing to me now. And remember, on the last show that we did, Zay, I said that the only team that could beat Boston is Boston. That was a compliment. But right now, Boston is beating Boston. So I have to take a look at that, and that's why it's a bigger deal for me.
But the thing is, Leo, is that that's been our kryptonite. If you go back to even like last year and a few years before in the conference championship game against the Cavaliers, and we were up 3-2 with Kyrie out and Gordon Hayward out. The thing that we've always done, no matter the heck of Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, Joe Mazzulla, these problems have been around for years, and for some reason, not getting addressed. When we go down the game, we start chucking threes and we start missing, take bad shots. Jaylen Brown, free throws, it's never been his strong suit, and he tends to force shots that I don't like, and sometimes
especially in traffic.
Yeah, that, and sometimes he starts dribbling too much, then he loses the ball, and I'm like, dude. And then Tatum, sometimes he's just taking like low quality shots where I'm just like, what is that? Same with Smart, and like these problems have stuck around and they haven't been addressed. I don't know why, but like when I'm watching the Celtics, I'm like, I see it, and I'm just like, especially last year in the finals against the Warriors, I'm like, why are we taking these shots? And it's just like these like low quality shots. But another thing is the turnovers. The turnovers have still haunted us from last year. We're turning the ball over. I think it was against Miami. We had like 19 turnovers in the game, 20 turnovers in the game. It's like we can't be doing that, especially as the 1 seed. Now the targets are on our back, especially in the East, because when Middleton's healthy, which I'm pretty sure he's back fully healthy, when Middleton's healthy, the Bucks were we are in their crosshairs. They want us. The Nets want us. The Heat want us. Philly wants us, but they ain't gonna beat us. Everybody wants us. So if we keep making these same errors and these same mistakes, we're gonna be in deep trouble. And I agree. The only team that can beat us is us in the East, I believe. And honestly, in the West, if we get favorable matchup, I think we probably win the finals. But we really need to figure out this turnover situation and these just low quality shots when the game gets close in the fourth quarter. We have to figure this out because if we don't, like you said, Boston's going to beat Boston.
And that's why it's the biggest deal for me, because I expected age to mature them, experience to mature them, the finals loss to mature them, and I'm still seeing it. And even though I still have high praise for this team, like I said, I believe that they're going to represent. Now these things are becoming obvious to me, and now in my mind, I'm like, the way how the 76ers are playing right now, maybe they could, upset them. Right? I'm not saying they will, but maybe the Bucks, when they get Chris Middleton back healthy, maybe they can upset them. Now I'm questioning it. Now I'm questioning my pick. And I wasn't doing that prior to this 3-game losing streak.
I want to say something real quick, and I think the Celtics. I'm gonna touch on the Celtics real quick, and then go to what I was gonna say on my second go around. The Celtics, like you said, like Lil said, they have very questionable decision making, and that's been prevalent. Even when we saw in the finals against the Warriors, their decision making is very questionable. When you're putting them against talented players, they don't make the correct decisions. If Jason Tatum is not jacking up a bunch of shots and making them, because even his shots are contested, he just makes them. But if he misses those shots, now we're questioning, oh, why would he take that shot? Why would he do this? Why would he do that? Because we're not saying anything when it's going in. That's the problem. And we're allowing, or not we, the coaching staff is allowing these guys to take contested shots, to make questionable decisions when the shots are falling. And then when the shots are falling, everyone gets quiet. No one's saying that was a bad shot. Nobody's saying that was a bad pass. You're just lucky. No, everyone's just allowing it to go. They're allowing the circus to go on until something goes wrong. And then when something goes wrong, that's when everyone wants to question the coaching staff or question the decision making, the play calling. So, this is an ISO-centric team, the Boston Celtics are. They move the ball on occasion, but it's ISO-centric because Jason Tatum has been that dynamic. Jaylen Brown, when healthy, has been that dynamic. But when they're playing against the upper echelon teams, the Milwaukee Bucks of the world, the Warriors, or even if you want to say the Grizzlies, if they go there, it's going to be a problem when you're playing against those type of teams, that type of talent, because it's not going to, those same shots that were falling against the Magics, falling against the Rockets are not going to fall against them. It's a different game. You're not going to be able to get those same rebounds you was able to get against the Knicks or whatever. But now my main point that I want to get to is that the Knicks are now third, I believe, if not the NBA, the Eastern Conference, and road games won. They are 15-10. Championships are won on the road. And the fact that the Knicks are showing that they could beat the best of the best on the road is very interesting. It's something that I'm very confused about because they're better on the road than at home. And that's something that the Knicks are really, emphasizing. The road Knicks are dangerous. They beat anybody on the road, and that's the best of the best. Julius Randle said it best last night. We could beat anybody, but then we could also lose to anybody. And that's something that's interesting, and that's something that's more of a flaw on the team because they're not focused on the fundamental part, rebounding the basketball. I've seen Jericho Sims box out a guy. He already boxed him out, didn't get the rebound. He just let someone else grab the board. I think it was Malcolm Brogdon that ran in and just grabbed the basketball. So I think this Knicks team, if they can make a dynamic move, just a bench piece, somebody who's consistent off the bench to help this team win some more games on at home, that's gonna be it for this team. This team elevates to what they were a couple years ago. And I think that's my only take right now.
I think for me, the reason why I'm not making a big hee-haw after this, first of all, it was a quality win. It was a great win, first of all, right? The Celtics are the best team in basketball record-wise. So, in a way, I was happy to see that we won a marquee game that's not against the Pistons, that's not against the Raptors. It's against the Celtics, right? For a different team in a different stratosphere. But I did not leave that game really feeling any different about the Knicks. I still think we need to make a move at the deadline. And I'm not talking about that home run move. We don't need to wait and stockpile assets in a vault and wait for Bradley Beal to be disgruntled and say I want out, and wait for Zach LaVine to say I want out. We need to add on to this roster. If we are going to make the playoffs, Why not give us a chance to win a series or two, right? We just gonna go in there and be content with getting bounced in the first round? No, we need to put the pieces together to plan out this roster. And that's until we do that move is when I'm gonna feel better about the Knicks, right? I understand there's reports that came out. Ian Bagley said that we offered a couple first rounders for OG Anunoby. I don't know how I feel about that because we all know he's a great perimeter defender. We want him more for the defense and the offense, averaging 17 points per game. But if we bring him in, we are literally subbing out Quentin Grimes, who's our floor spacer. So we losing the space that we need that we don't even have, basically. So that's why, me personally, I want to see Gary Trent on this team. I'd rather him because he could shoot the ball. He's shooting like 40% since like November from the three-point line. I want a guy like him to be able to space the floor. Not no OG Anunoby, but either way, I'll still take it because I want us to make some moves so we can help guys like Brunson and RJ and take the load off of them. RJ Barrett, he shows up on occasion. He'll have a 30-20 game to be like, yeah, that's the guy. Then we like, yo, come on, man, you got to step the game up. And I think when we reflect back to that trade that we tried to make with Donovan Mitchell, when that fell through, it was a gut blow because that's a guy in the fourth quarter who we can always go to and know that we are safe with him winning the game for us instead of doing things by a committee. Sometimes your committee don't show up to the job. And that's why I want a guy like that. But we put a lot of value in RJ Barrett. Claire, we paid him. We extended him in the middle of negotiations. That's what did it. Literally, check the timeline. Soon as we gave him the contract, Danny Ainge was like, I'm out. We're going to take a lesser offer from the Cavaliers. We put a lot of stock in RJ. And although I'm not trying to cap the ceiling, RJ has some growing up to do. And we need to be able to supply this team with pieces that's going to help us win games.
Real quick. Well, I just want to make my last point. RJ's 22 years old. The man's still going to grow. Still going to
like I said, I ain't trying to cap his ceiling.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Come on.
I agree. No, Donovan Mitchell also two things actually because Danny Ainge he tried to swindle us. He tried to take not only the starters, he tried to take the bench. He tried to take.
It was a combination of trying to fleece the Knicks. He's a pick bandit. We understand that.
I mean, it's crazy.
But we did put a lot of value in RJ. He was not sacrificing RJ.
I agree with everything you're saying, but the main thing is I think so many people are focused on getting another star player, but not realizing the role players is where the championships are won. The guys who go in, play defense, shoot those threes when off the bench. When the bench is coming in, they need to play. The bench needs to come in and play the dynamic. Like the way IQ is playing, we need another guy like that. We need a guy. Actually, there was a report stating that the Knicks are interested in Grayson Allen. That's somebody off the bench that Knicks could utilize since they're not utilizing Cam Reddish, a guy who plays defense, a guy who takes shots, hits the threes, a guy who could shoot, do shot creation off the dribble, find the open guy. He's actually somebody the Knicks need, a gritty player. He does have some dirty plays. I'm not going to take away from that. He is actually kind of somewhat of a dirty player, but he is a dynamic, hardworking player who could score the basketball, play defense. That's someone the Knicks should be looking at, bolstering the bench because their bench team is not that great. You know, we have IQ, who's really the main one dominating. We don't play Obi Toppin that much. We have Hartenstein and Sims coming off the bench. So mainly the only person scoring is IQ and then Miles McBride when he gets the courage to put up some shots. But Grayson Allen's a guy who's not fearful. He's not scared of the moment. He'll take those shots and clutch. Take those shots down with a minute left in the fourth quarter, 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. This is a guy who has been killing the Knicks actually the last couple seasons. That's somebody the Knicks should bring in and try to get some engine, some life in that bench team so that bench team could score way more points because our bench is actually the reason why our starters are out there for 42, 43 minutes because our bench can't get no buckets.
I got two things. So, but the first thing with the Knicks, I'll go back to it and I will still go back to it to this day. Whoever's been watching 99 Pod knows how I feel about the Thibodeau hiring. He's a good hire for the Knicks. He's a good coach, but I don't think he's the guy for this Knicks team. I will say it till this day that they should have went and got Kenny Atkinson because he will play the young players. He will create rotations. He will create his game plan around the young players and really build them up. Thibodeau has a history of not really being able to do that. So I go back to it. Do you guys still have Cam Reddish on the bench not playing? Why? Yep. Why is Cam Reddish on the bench? Well, you traded Kevin Knox and what was it, a second or a first for him, and now he's just not playing. Why is Cam Reddish not playing? Like, this is a perfect example. The Knicks can go out and get people at the deadline. Yes, it might improve them. Yes, it might help with the rotation and everything. But you have Cam Reddish who's on the bench just not playing under Tom Thibodeau. Why is that? Like, you got talent right there, left-handed scorer, and he's just not playing. When I see that, I'm just like, Tibbs, like you're gonna get at the deadline. What you're gonna put them on a bench roll? You're not gonna play them? It's like, come on now. Like, what's really gonna happen if Tibbs gets these players? Like, I don't know. And maybe if he gets a veteran, he'll probably play the veteran. But if the Knicks go out and get a young guy for a trade again, I don't know if he's gonna play. I barely see Obi anymore either. It's like these young guys aren't really getting minutes, yo. It's like it's the same starting lineup that just keeps playing and taking up all the minutes. How are they supposed to grow as players?
And how are they not supposed to be fatigued in the playoffs? Exactly. That's my thing. Like by the time we get to the playoffs, let's say we don't have to play in the play-in game. We better hope we don't have to, because that's another crapshoot over there, right? That's extra games. And we have to play in the play-in game and we make the playoffs. Guys are going to turn into ash, bro. Yeah. Their legs is going to be shot.
And that's what I'm saying too. And going to my second point, going to Boston and New York, around this time last year, in last season, the Celtics, we were like 23 and 23, 23 and 22. And then we just turned it up this second half of the year. We won all these games. We made it to the 2 seed, made it to the NBA Finals, and look how gassed we were at the end. You don't want to play those long series, like you said. You don't want to play. If you're the Knicks, you do not want to play these long series. You do not want to have to play the extra games, because when we got to the finals after Game 3, gassed. We just couldn't hang on to a lead. We couldn't hold it.
I don't think we'll get that far, but
I mean, yeah, I'm just saying. But it's like
the series is going to be long. Any series involving the Knicks is going to be a 6. If we show up, it's going to be a 6 and 7 game series. Like we're not that talented enough to win games in 5.
I agree.
It's going to be long, drawn out series.
And it's but you look at you don't want to see that fatigue either, So like it's going to add up, and that's why I feel like it is important for the Knicks to get pieces at the deadline. But I have to question, like under Thibodeau, are they going to play efficient role for the rest of the season? Like I don't know. And the other thing is, like I said, a lot can happen from now until April, right? Trade deadline happens. Maybe some players move. Maybe the Wizards sell. Maybe Beal moves. Maybe Porzingis moves. I don't know. A lot of things can happen between now and February 8th, and then a lot can happen between February 8th and the rest of the season. So we got to see how the rest of the year plays out. But definitely, I would say if these tendencies for the Celtics stick, I don't know, maybe we drop a couple seeds. I don't know. I'm a little worried as a fan, but I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess.
And that's why it's the biggest deal for me. But my last point on the Knicks is to add on and put a bow to the minutes per game conversation. We have about 3 plays that are like top 15 in minutes per game, and 2 plays in top 10 in minutes per game, and 1 in top 5 in minutes per game. So I don't know how we're going to plan to hash that out. But what I do know from both sides is when I look at this Knicks win, although as a fan, I love to see it, until we make moves to plan out our roster and give ourselves a better chance to win a playoff series, I'm not going to take and put too much stock into that win. But as far as the Celtics, the fact that they lost 3 straight games, the fact that I'm seeing old bad habits, that's why it's a bigger deal for me, because they have more to play for than the New York Knicks do.